declaration of loyalty to the worship of Almighty Yahweh and to the leadership, Joshua the Messiah, Joshua the general, who Yahweh had set up in Moses' place. What happened? Well, we had the incident with Achan, Joshua 6 and 7, and the battle of Ai and Bethel were lost. Then, after Joshua sent his entire army up the mountain to Bethel and Ai, and they destroyed Ai. Then it says, Joshua built an altar to Yahweh. That's verse 30 of chapter 8 of Joshua. Build an altar to Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, in Mount Ebal. Mount Ebal was to be the curse. The curse was to be placed on Mount Ebal, and the curse for the altar of sacrifice. Deuteronomy chapter 27, you can go and read it in there. As Moses, the servant of Yahweh, commanded the children of Israel, as it is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of unhewn stones upon which no man had lifted up any iron. Iron is the metal of war. And the altar is a place that restores peace between Yahweh and man. Therefore, no hewn stone can be used on Yahweh's altar. It has to be an altar of stone, upon which no man had lifted up any iron, the metal of war, and they offered on it burnt offerings to Yahweh and sacrificed peace offerings. And he wrote there on the stones a copy of the law of Moses, which he wrote in the presence of the children of Israel. And all Israel and their elders and their officers and their judges stood on this side of the ark, and on that side before the priests, the Levites, that bore the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, as well the sojourner as the homeborn, half of them in front of Mount Gerizim, and that was the blessing, was put on Mount Gerizim, and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of Yahweh, had commanded at the first, that they should bless the people of Israel. Afterward he read all the words of the law, the blessing and the curse, according to all that is written in the book of the law. The blessing and the curse. The blessing and the punishment, in other words. There was not a word of all that Moses commanded which Joshua read not before all the assembly of Israel, and the women and the little ones, and the sojourners that were among them. And so they had a rededication service here on Mount Ebal. Remember these two mountains, Mount Ebal, that's the barren mountain. You can easily see it as you're coming up into Nablus. And Mount Gerizim is the green mountain. It has topsoil and vegetation on it. Mount Gerizim was the Mount of blessing, Mount Ebal the Mount of curse. And on Mount Ebal was where the altar of Yahweh was to be situated. Let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 6. We have heard this morning about the Shema. And it seems sometimes that we're going in the same direction, and maybe this is the will of Yahweh and the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Deuteronomy 6:1. Now this is the commandment, the statutes, and the ordinances which Yahweh your Elohim commanded to teach you, that you may do them in the land to which you're going over to possess it, that you might fear Yahweh your Elohim, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your son and your son's son, all the days of your life, that your days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily. You see, hear and listen to the commandments of Yahweh, that Yahweh has spoken, that you may increase and not decrease. Israel actually decreased during the wilderness journey. It's amazing, and yet it happened. But the new Israel came in and they increased. Yahweh wanted them to increase, as Yahweh, the Elohim of your fathers, has promised to you in a land flowing with milk and honey, and with all these blessings. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. U'ahavta et Yahweh Eloheka, b'kol levavecha, u'b'kol nafsheka, u'b'kol nesecha. V'hiyu ha'davarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzvavecha hayom ha'levavecha. V'shenantam levanecha, v'deverta bam, v'shivteka v'yivatecha, u'b'lektika b'deret, u'b'shekbeka u'b'kamecha, u'kisher tam li'od ha'yadecha. V'hiyu l'totafot b'einenecha, u'katavtam, al-mizazot b'etecha, u'v'shareka. That's the Shema. I thought I'd better start getting myself all organized for a trip to Israel, because if I go up on the Temple Mount, that's what I'll have running through my mind the whole time, and they can't tell that I'm praying. I'm saying something scriptural, and they look at me. If I'd move my lips one iota, I'd wind up in handcuffs. I know I would. But they can't tell. I keep my lips, my face straight, but it's up here, running through my mind. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our Elohim. Yahweh is one. Elohim, masculine plural. Yahweh is the family name of the Elohim family. But the Elohim family is not divided. The Elohim family is echad, is one, in unity. And that's so obvious when every time I speak the Shema in English, every time I hear it in Hebrew, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh is our Elohim, masculine plural. Yahweh Echad, Yahweh is one, not divided, but in unity. And for this, we need to remind the young people. You need to keep listening to your parents when they teach you the ways of Yahweh. If you don't listen to your parents, your grandparents, you're going to be doomed to be cast into the lake of fire. If you are willful and you go after your own inclinations, you will be excluded from the coming kingdom of Yahweh. It's very, very plain and clear. And so we are supposed to do what? And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim. Love Yahweh your Elohim. I want to remind us that this is the definition of circumcision of the heart. Deuteronomy chapter 30. And verse 5. And Yahweh your Elohim will bring you into the land of your fathers. And then verse 6. Yahweh your Elohim will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed. And what is that circumcision of the heart? It is to cut away things that might be displeasing to Yahweh, and to love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live. That's what the Shema tells us. You shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. And that is then it also extended in Mark chapter 12, verse 28. That passage that we read to close the Sabbath, it's extended to strength, your might. The word meod, the word these words